All right, guys, sit back, relax, and buckle up because I got a whole bunch of breaking news here for you, and about 99% of it is horrible. So let's start with this. So Reason Magazine, which is a libertarian magazine, they're reporting that ICE arrested a U.S. citizen in Alabama twice in two separate raids. So this guy, who, by the way, of course, is Hispanic, which is why he's being targeted in this way. So this guy decided, you know what, I fucking had enough. And so he's suing them. I think he's suing them for $50 million. And of course, I wish him the best. You know, we discussed how with Trump's big bullshit bill, ICE got, I believe it was $160 billion, which makes them bigger than like a lot of militaries around the world. It's a total like domestic military Gestapo force. Well, I have a hunch that a large chunk of that money is probably going to be used to pay out in civil trial payments, because ICE has broken so many laws. They do so on a daily basis. And so hopefully this guy wins his case. Honestly, I think he has a strong case because you're a U.S. citizen living in Alabama. You were arrested twice in two separate raids. It's like at that point, they're just ruining your ability, you know, to live as a free person in what's supposed to be a free country. So that's an incredible, incredible story. But I'm just getting started on ICE. So guess what, guys? NBC is reporting that ICE murdered somebody and lied about it. They murdered somebody and lied about it. So David J. Byer on Twitter says the following: ICE lied about the person it shot, claiming he was a criminal, but NBC finds that he had no criminal history whatsoever, not even a traffic ticket in 12 years. It also lied about the extent of the injuries to its agents. So 12 years here, model citizen, never committed a crime, zero criminal record, zero arrests, zero convictions, and ICE decided to murder this guy. That's great. That's wonderful. So I hope there's justice, but as per usual, Trump pardoned all the January 6th criminals and rioters, and so if you commit crimes on his behalf, he tends to favor you, and he tends to give you leniency. So what's going to happen in this scenario? I don't know. I'll be shocked if we even see charges in this scenario, never mind getting a conviction. But ICE now apparently has complete immunity to murder whoever the fuck they want and then lie about it after the fact. This is fucking grotesque. This is a disgusting, disgusting story. And the ICE agent who did this should obviously be fired immediately. And beyond that, should definitely be tried and locked up. All right. So we also got this. This is horrific. So Apple decided to remove the ICE Block app, which helped users identify nearby ICE activity after criticism from the Trump regime. So in other words, these corporate behemoths are turning into little cuck boys. And if Trump says, I want you to do this thing for me, you're going to do this thing for me, they go, oh, yes, sir. Yes, daddy. I will do whatever you want, whatever you say. And so understand something. This ICE Block app has been incredibly useful to so many people. They know, okay, I can't go to the Home Depot parking lot because ICE is parked out there and they're rounding up innocent people. Can't go there. Can't go to the 7-Eleven. I was warned. There's ICE agents over there. And by the way, again, totally free country. You should absolutely be allowed to make an app like this and use an app like this, right? But this is Apple bending the knee to Trump. Because, of course, they're going to want more tax cuts. They're going to want more subsidies. They're going to want favors from the government. So they immediately cave whenever the Trump regime asks them for anything, which means fucking none of us are safe. I've told you guys this before, but if Trump decided to call the CEO of Google and say, I want you to get rid of, secular talk online, they'd fucking do it in an instant. Or at the very least, they would shadow ban the shit out of me in that scenario. So none of us are safe, bro. None of us are. It's absolutely disgusting how they caved to this guy. And he's like a fucking man-child. He's like a fat war criminal pedophile King Joffrey. And they just fucking caved to him no matter what. It's incredible. All right, but it gets even darker, y'all. It gets even darker. So Wired is reporting that the Trump regime is planning on building a mass social media surveillance team at ICE, which will be trawling through social media to find people to arrest and deport. So in other words, this is like a new NSA. This is like a new Patriot Act 2.0. So they say ICE is planning to hire a team of nearly 30 people to surveil social media 24/7, build dossiers on people, and flag them for arrest and deportation. So yet again, just like what we talked about with Peter Thiel and Palantir, they're building a mass spying surveillance database, a blackmail database on all Americans. And now there's going to be a wing of ICE that does this too. And as we all know, like I said, they have complete immunity to go out there and arrest whoever they want for whatever fucking reason they want. They're getting away with literally murdering people, right? And now a wing of that agency is going to be dedicated to keeping a file on all of us. And whoever becomes an enemy of the state, they will act against. This is what we're talking about. Are you awake yet? Are you following this yet? And by the way, I love how the right-wingers screamed about how something like this would happen for years. I mean, this was Alex Jones holding, big government's going to come, tyranny's going to come, they're going to spy on everybody, they're going to arrest people for wrongthink. And then here we are, and the government's doing it. And where is he? Supporting Trump, coddling Trump's nutsack, the guy who's delivering this dystopian, sci-fi, futuristic hellscape. Alex Jones is supporting that guy. Pathetic. So here we are, y'all. New Patriot Act 2.0. New mass surveillance system, and it's going to be ICE Gestapo thugs at the head of it. So nobody is safe. All right, now, at the same time, listen to this. There's a heavy military presence outside the Broadview ICE facility in Illinois right now. Snipers can be seen on top of armored vehicles. Protesters are also being arrested. So I watched some of the videos coming out of this, and it looks terrifying. So you got these agents who are covering their faces. They have snipers with scopes on them. They're like fucking pointing it at these peaceful protesters. You got these big armored vehicles all over the place. You have these drones, these menacing drones flying all over the place. Again, this is all to go after peaceful protesters at an ICE facility in Illinois. So, ladies and gentlemen, this truly does not look like the United States of America anymore. It just doesn't. When you have peaceful protesters just, using their First Amendment rights, as any free citizen is able to do under our Constitution, and you have these armed thugs who look like they're in the middle of a heavy war zone, right? Just totally decked out in like camouflage gear and bulletproof vests and covering their face and with the snipers pointing at people. I mean, this is crazy. This is crazy what we're looking at here. So every single day, we descend deeper and deeper into hell. And I just hope people out there are not asleep. You have to, don't look away. I know it's hard, but you can't look away. You need to understand, and you need to not comply with this bullshit. All right, but it gets even worse. You ready for this? So there's this horror story coming out of, I believe it's Chicago. This ICE story is really next level. This has to be one of the worst of all the ICE stories. And you guys know we've covered all of them, and there's been a lot of bad ones. So listen to this. So ICE agents rappelled from Black Hawk helicopters in the middle of the night and detained U.S. citizens. They grabbed everyone at an apartment complex and even zip-tied the children together. Quote, they had the black people in one van and the immigrants in another van, said one witness. One agent literally laughed and he said, and I quote, fuck them kids. Trucks and military-style vans were used to separate the children from their parents, destroying neighborhood property in the process. Quote, my building was shaking. Then I looked out the window, and it's a Black Hawk helicopter, said another witness. Quote, we're under siege. We're being invaded by our own military. ICE released a statement saying that the raid went smoothly and was, quote, targeted to find gang members at the apartment complex on the south side of Chicago. That is a bald-faced fucking lie. Every single person that was arrested was a U.S. citizen, and it was hundreds of people illegally arrested by these thugs. By the way, why are you even using Black Hawk helicopters and rappelling from them? It's like they're playing dress up. They're adults playing dress up and wanting to feel like they're fucking gangsters. Well, guess what? You are. Congratulations. You certainly are gangsters. You certainly are criminals. You certainly are violating like 100 laws per night. By the way, I haven't even given you the worst part. You ready for this? In this raid, they dragged naked children out of their homes and put them into U-Haul vans. And then they went on to brag about this raid on social media. I kid you not. They literally zip-tied naked children and put them in a U-Haul van and were posting videos and bragging about it. And all of these people are U.S. citizens. Understand something. Rule of law is gone. It's over. It's dead. There are no more checks and balances. None. They're gone. If they can do this to these people, they can do it to literally any of us. Because when people say, hey, I'm an American citizen, they go, shut the fuck up. I don't care. We're going to lock you up. Maybe we'll lock you up for a week. You can go right to shut the fuck upsville. Not interested in what you're saying. I'm telling you, man, new Nuremberg trials is what we need. new Nuremberg trials. And all these people need to be locked up. And if that doesn't happen, then again, we live in a completely and utterly lawless time, and we've evolved not at all, not even the tiniest bit, from the fucking dark ages. All right, I'm still not done. So listen to this. ICE stopped a family at gunpoint and then smashed the car window on top of their newborn baby. Quote, "I was screaming that there was a baby, but they didn't care," cried the mother. Quote, "I covered my baby with my body. I was so scared he was going to be hurt because glass was landing on him." She is heard on video repeatedly asking to see the signed warrant. An agent flippantly responds, quote, "It's at the office." Under a 2020 Colorado law, ICE is not allowed to arrest people going to or from a courthouse, which is exactly where the family was coming from. Maya England has still yet to be shown a warrant or even given a reason for her husband's arrest. Jose Aguilera is currently being detained at an ICE facility in Aurora, Colorado. Smashing glass over the top of a newborn baby's head and then lying about, "Oh yeah, I have a warrant." No, the fuck you don't. No, none of you have any fucking warrant. You happy, Stephen Miller? Remember, Stephen Miller berated ICE agents and said, "Why are you going after criminals? Why are you going after drug cartels? Why are you going after child traffickers?" No. Put all that shit down and go straight to the Home Depot, straight to the Lowe's, and start picking up the day laborers, right? And now we live in a country where anybody and everybody can be targeted at a moment's notice by these thugs who are completely and utterly lawless. It's truly, truly grotesque. All right, now, let's talk a little bit here about foreign policy, too. So, as you all know, Trump has sent 10 warships to the Caribbean off the coast of Venezuela. There's 6,500 U.S. troops that are now stationed there. There's also special ops there. You have the Venezuelan government coming out a week or two ago and basically saying, we think the U.S. is going to do a false flag and blame us and then try to topple our government. So they're telling you that beforehand. So if it happens, they go say, "Look, hey, we warned you, we told you," and it's fucking happening, right? Okay, ready? Well, the Trump regime just decided to bomb a fourth dinghy fishing boat. They killed 4 more innocent civilians. This just happened today. So they bombed another boat off the coast of Venezuela. There's a war crime. This is totally against international law, completely and utterly un-American and despicable. And they did it again. So now I believe the total number of civilians is about 21 that have been killed. 21 Venezuelan fishermen that have been killed illegally by the U.S. Now, look, I'll put this very simple point to you, right? Imagine the roles were reversed. Imagine Venezuela they bombed 4 different fishing boats off the coast of Florida and killed 21 American citizens. What would our reaction be? What would our reaction be if you had Iran kill 21 U.S. citizens by bombing 4 fishing boats off the coast of New England? What would our reaction be? I think I know, and I think you know. I think you know if you're being honest with yourself. But we do it, and then they go, "Everybody shut the fuck up. We don't care. We do what we want. We don't care about U.S. law. We don't care about international law. We are above the law." Which means Trump and Hegseth and the rest of these goons are saying, yeah, we look at international law the same way the Nazi regime looked at international law. Which shouldn't be surprising from the same people who are arming and funding a genocide, the same people that bomb Yemen and bomb Somalia and bombed Iran and are threatening Mexico and threatening Greenland and are threatening Panama. All right, but I'm not done. So, according to the New York Times, President Trump told Congress in a confidential notice a day before the bombing of the new fishing boat that he decided the U.S. was in an armed conflict with certain drug cartels. Oh, really? I love when, so in other words, he put into writing the fact that he was going to violate the Constitution. He put into writing the fact that he was doing something wildly illegal. The way it works is Congress needs to approve any new war. Because we don't want to have a fucking emperor who's psychotic, who can make a decision on his own and have no checks and balances. So he put down in writing, I decided to start a new war. By the way, what happened to, the pro-peace ticket? I stopped 7 wars, I stopped 8 wars, I stopped 9 wars. He changes it based on the week. But here he is let's do a new war. This guy's not right in the head, bro. This guy, seriously. He's senile, he's demented. We need the 25th Amendment. We got to get him the fuck out of there. This is crazy. what we're talking about here. This is crazy. So what did I tell you? I told you he wants to marry together the war on drugs with the war on terror. And that's exactly what he's doing. And he's creating a bullshit fake legal framework wherein he could kill whoever the fuck he wants and go, he was like a narco-terrorist or something. First of all, there's no evidence whatsoever that any of these people are narco-terrorists. Second of all, what the fuck even is a narco-terrorist? What does that mean? Even if all these boats had drugs on them, as I pointed out to you guys, the boats are tiny. There's not enough cocaine on even one of these boats to satiate one bachelor party, right? And you're we get to murder you for that. And by the way, just so you know, like 90% of drugs that come in this country do not come from Venezuela. So the idea, this is all completely and utterly mucked up. They want to do regime change to put in a U.S. puppet, and they want to steal the oil, like Trump has said in the past. He wants to steal the oil from Venezuela, put in a puppet regime, and also give his boy Eric Prince, the war criminal mercenary, give him, he's a terrorist, by the way, give him some new business and let him get more government money and let him illegally occupy a country, just like he did in Iraq when it was Blackwater, where he committed all those war crimes. It's just absolutely insane, man. Absolutely absurd. All right, now let's talk about this. So Trump came out, and this is crazy. So as you all know, during when he was on the campaign trail during the election, one of the things he kept saying time and time again is, Project 2025. I've never heard of it. I don't even know what you're talking about. Project what? I've never even heard of this. What are you talking about? This is crap. No, I don't know anything about that. But also, I don't like it. It's no good. Well, which is it? You don't know anything about it, or you know stuff about it and you don't like it? Total contradiction, right? Total contradiction. In fact, here's something he said. This is July 5th, 2024. So during the election, he said, I know nothing about Project 2025. I have no idea who's behind it. I disagree with some of the things they're saying, and some of the things they're saying are absolutely ridiculous and abysmal. All right, let me pause there for a second. He already contradicted himself in one tweet. I know nothing about it, but also it's abysmal. Well, if you know nothing, how can you say it's abysmal? If you know nothing, you don't know anything about it. No, I know, you clearly know something. Okay, anyway, then he continues. Anything they do, I wish them luck, but I have nothing to do with them. Okay, so a bunch of fucking idiots in mainstream media, even in fucking so-called independent media, they would go, we've concluded a fact check, and it turns out Trump is denying any association with Project 2025, so that is not his plan. And I remember pulling my hair out. I was doing videos at the time going, are you guys fucking mental? First of all, like, literally all of the authors were people who were in Trump's administration in his first term, right? Like, the connection with these people is like this. It's the Heritage Foundation is the lead think tank that's doing this. I mean, Trump and the Heritage Foundation were like this. They staffed his entire first term. He takes his whole ideological project from these guys. What are you talking about? Right? So I was pulling my hair out. Well, now, Trump comes out. So this is what he was saying when he was on the campaign trail. Now, what did he say yesterday? Ready? I have a meeting today with Russ Vought. That guy was the head of Project 2025, like the lead author. He, of Project 2025 fame, to determine which of the many Democrat agencies, most of which are a political scam, he recommends to be cut, and whether or not those cuts will be temporary or permanent. I can't believe the radical left Democrats gave me this unprecedented opportunity. They are not stupid people, so maybe this is their way of wanting to, quietly and quickly, make America great again. He just admits it. He just comes out and says it. Oh yeah, I'm bringing in the Project 2025 guy to finish Project 2025. So every single fucking person who tried to fact check Kamala Harris, who said Project 2025 is the plan, every single person who tried to fact check us and other lefties and liberals who said this is the fucking plan, do yourself a favor, not just me, do yourself a favor and shut the fuck up forever. Forever. Because this is what they're doing. And by the way, this whole plan, they're already like 50% done with it, by the way. But this is like the destruction of the country. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So Project 2025, we're talking about unitary executive theory. That's basically like making Trump an emperor, overlord, god king. We're talking about the total destruction of the regulatory state so that corporations can get away with anything they want to get away with. We're talking about the total destruction of the social safety net, which they did a number on that with the big bullshit bill, as we all know. We're talking about banning states from doing free school breakfast and lunch for kids, banning minimum wage increases, banning extreme heat work breaks, banning porn, cutting overtime pay, rolling back child labor laws. This is what we're talking about, the destruction of the EPA and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. They're already like 50% done with this. And it hasn't even been a year. And that's where we are. And Elon helped out a lot with this stuff too. So it's just absolutely horrible, man. Just terrible. Now, so as you know, there was a meeting with Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, and Trump in the Oval Office the other day. And Trump literally put Trump 2028 hats on the table pointing at the Democrats in this meeting. And then Trump posted this AI video of him taking one of those hats and throwing it on the head of Hakeem Jeffries. Notice, do yourself a favor and notice how they're now normalizing the idea of Trump 2028. Just notice that. Because that is exactly what they're doing. They're normalizing it. So in this moment, though, you press them on it and they go, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. We're just trolling. We're just having fun. This is just for the lulz, right? Well, that's always how it starts, right? And then eventually it's, oh, yeah, by the way, we weren't joking. We were dead serious. And so the fact that, we are so far gone in this moment. The Democrats, if they took one step into that Oval Office and saw the Trump 2028 hats, they should have walked the fuck out immediately and said, I'm not fucking talking to this psychopath. This guy's insane. Trump 2028, any other president were to do this and we'd be like, okay, you know what? It's time to wrap it up. This is insane. Totally unprofessional, totally absurd, but he does it and everybody, it like barely even makes the news, right? By the way, now at the same time that the government is shut down, the White House announced that the construction of Trump's $200 million golden ballroom will continue. Funny how that works. If it's for the Mad King, well, that stuff can all continue. But, all these 750,000 or more government workers, sorry, you guys got to be furloughed and go without pay while we try to not figure this out, because they're not. It's not like Trump doesn't give a fuck about this. He loves that he could take a sledgehammer to basically the entire government at this point. So, but don't worry, his ballroom will be just fine. Now, remember, guys, the one thing Democrats are asking for is to not cut the Obamacare subsidies. That's the one thing they're trying to save is the Obamacare subsidies. Now, understand something, and I just learned this today, actually. 77% of the Obamacare subsidy money goes to red states. So in other words, yet again, this was an example of a Democrat, Barack Obama, his policy largely helping people in red states, Republicans. And zero, they don't give a fuck. They view it like the worst thing that's ever happened, man. You lowered my cost of my insurance. It's like, it's just insane the extent to which Democrat policies help everybody, but especially people in red states. And then how they're like, hey, get rid of that thing that made my life objectively easier, right? So that's the one thing that they're fighting for is, hey, let's not cut these subsidies. Well, guess what? Raphael Warnock, the senator, Democratic senator, tweeted this out. So right now it would cost $307 a month for one of his constituents in Georgia, $307 a month for this bronze plan with the way the system works now, right? If you get rid of these Obamacare subsidies, it goes up to $964 a month. That's what the premium is. Ladies and gentlemen, that is completely and utterly unaffordable. And it's not just this person. We're talking about like the cost of your health insurance tripling for gigantic swaths of the country. Again, this would destroy the country. And so you have the Democrats who are fighting on just this one issue of, hey, let's not triple the cost of healthcare for people. And Trump's like joking and memeing and saying, fuck off. We're not going to give in on that. We want healthcare to triple for your average person. And then, of course, they're lying about it. And the Republicans are out there going, the Democrats are trying to give healthcare to illegals. It's a total lie. Complete and utter fucking lie. Total falsehood. And they're just running with it. So this is where we're at in this country. This is how fucking irresponsible. Understand something. The Republican Party is not actually a political party anymore. It is literally a death cult. It is a death cult. That's what we're watching. And that's why they're not even capable of negotiating in good faith or being honest about any aspect of this. All right. Now, let me tell you what's already been done. So Russ Vaught, the Project 2025 guy, who's the head of the Office of Management and Budget, who has a lot of leeway now that the government is shut down, he decided to cancel $8 billion in climate funding to, guess what, a bunch of blue states. So yet again, this is what they do. This is their playbook, right? As much as possible, let's fire a bunch of people and cut off a whole bunch of funding. And it's in a legal gray area as to whether or not he can even do it. But it's specifically targeting blue states as a massive mafia-style fuck you for them not supporting Donald Trump. That's what we're looking at now. Just a total fucking, like, there is no sense of national unity or cohesion anymore. Or, like, just doing the right thing for the sake of doing the right thing. Now we're at the point where they, like, take sadistic glee and joy in ruining a bunch of people's lives and cutting off money that's due to blue states. All right. we got to talk about this. This story is blowing up now on social media, and I'm happy it is because it's not getting much coverage in mainstream media, and it should be. But so there were 2 New Jersey teenage girls who were killed in the suburbs by a stalker who ran them down in his Jeep, right? Well, come to find out, the person who did this murder is a big MAGA teenager, a massive Charlie Kirk fan and Andrew Tate fan, and he had heard that one of these teenage girls made a joke at the expense of Charlie Kirk, and so he had already been harassing them online, and he decided to get in his Jeep and run them over. So he murders them. Now, by the way, after he did that, he live streamed on YouTube and talked about it on his YouTube channel as he was playing like some MLB video game. Like it was, like he did something that was nothing, This is insane. As somebody pointed out on my TL, this guy, if you go back 2 years, 3 years, he literally is just like tweeting all the time about baseball. He's like a normal kid who just enjoys baseball. And then at some point, he discovered Andrew Tate, and that helped radicalize him. At some point, he discovered Charlie Kirk. That helped radicalize him. And he went from this like relatively normal kid who is obsessed with baseball to a cold-blooded MAGA murderer who literally massacred 2 teenage girls and ran them over because they may have made a joke at Charlie Kirk's expense. This is insane. And remember, this. So here's what's actually happening in the world, and this is at the same time that the right is insisting over and over again, oh, we have a real problem with left-wing terrorism and left-wing violence and Antifa and all this stuff. Meanwhile, they fucking sweep under the rug any and all bad stories involving MAGA. And that's kind of hard to do. That's kind of hard to do because most of these shootings, like 90% of them, you scratch a little beneath the surface and you find out very quickly, oh, that person was MAGA. Just like with the fucking, the Trump shooter. The Trump shooter was MAGA, was a registered Republican. And to this day, they pretend like that's not the case. Right? So it's just, it happens so much. Remember the other day, the shooting at the Mormon church where they also lit it on fire. The guy lit it on fire. That guy was MAGA. And they went to overdrive to try to lie and pretend like that wasn't the case. It is. So you want to talk about actual problems in this country? Yes, we have a serious problem with just like nihilistic violence. I think you could say like mental illness and nihilistic violence. That's one kind. And then the other kind that's a real problem is MAGA terrorism. Just like the shooting of the politician Melissa Hortman in Minnesota. That was done by a MAGA terrorist. There's a lot of them. Again, in most of the cases, you scratch beneath the surface and you find out, oh, these are right-wing terrorists. They believe in violence. And so here we are. Another horrible example of that. So these 2 teenage girls unfortunately murdered by a MAGA Andrew Tate, Charlie Kirk fan, who then went on to casually live stream about it as if he had done nothing wrong or as if he was some sort of hero. Unbelievable, man. Truly unbelievable. So I don't know if you guys saw this, but the White House announced that the U.S. Treasury will begin producing $1 coins with President Trump's face on it. President Trump's face. Wow. So we talked about it the other week when some Republican proposed a bill to do $1 coins with Charlie Kirk's face on it. And we talked about that, just like how much they're overreaching on this. Like he's literally like a podcaster and they're trying to put his face on currency. That's overkill, man. But even on this Trump thing, like usually if a president gets their face on currency, it's like decades after they die and like the national consensus on them has settled to say like, okay, this president is worth it, right? He's trying to fucking force it on us right now. That's so crazy, but it's also so him, right? Just this empty void of a man that he wants to fill with like the support of people who are lying about it and faking it, right? Like he needs the self-aggrandizement. He feeds off the attention and the self-aggrandizement. So look, I don't know what the process is. I feel like something like this would have to go through Congress. And to my knowledge, it hasn't gone through Congress. So I don't know how they can make this happen. But at the very least, Trump is trying to make this happen. Just like they're trying to, there's been bills to try to put his name on airports and bridges and roads and all sorts of shit already. And they're not going to stop. Unless the cult really fucking fucks around and finds out and we hit basically like a Great Depression type situation, which we may, by the way, then fast forward like 20 years and 30 years and everybody will finally admit like, okay, yeah, the Trump thing was bad. But in this moment, they're all chugging that Kool-Aid, baby. They are chugging that Kool-Aid and they cannot see straight. All right, more. So, you guys know this right-wing hack named Jack Posobiec. Well, he's one of these people who leads the charge. He led the charge in 2020 about, it's voter fraud and the Democrats actually stole the election in 2020 and Trump really won. And, he's one of these assholes, big in right-wing circles and just total misinformation machine. Well, come to find out, Slate just wrote an article. They did some digging on this guy. And here's what the headline is on the article about him. MAGA's top voter fraud watchdog votes in a swing state. He doesn't live there. So he lives in Maryland, but he votes in Pennsylvania. And he votes in Pennsylvania because obviously your vote counts for more in Pennsylvania. Maryland's a solidly blue state. It's going to go blue no matter what. Pennsylvania's a swing state. So that is, ladies and gentlemen, voter fraud. That's what that is. It's amazing. It's amazing. I'm telling you, man, the right, you could write a really long book, really long detailed book on just how much the right weaponizes psychological projection. If you want to know what the right-wingers are guilty of, look at what they accuse the left-wingers of being guilty of, and then you know. All right, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in Gaza. So there was this Samud flotilla that I'm sure you guys have heard about. Of course, there's been a whole bunch of attempts to get these humanitarian flotillas in. Let's get some baby food and some formula to the babies. Let's get some medicine in there. Let's try to save these starving people who are going through hell on earth. And in virtually all the instances, the IDF was able to intercept these boats when they hit a certain point, and then they arrest the people on the flotilla, and they eventually deport them out of the country. Well, in this instance, they were able to stop this flotilla, and they got on the boats this time, and I believe they were taken to one of the well-known Israeli torture prison sites, right? One of the worst of the Israeli prisons. And so that's where we are at this moment right now. Now, obviously, I hope the best for all these people, and I think Greta Thunberg is on this one, and there's some others who are on this one as well. But listen to this, man. This is crazy. So people are all over Twitter now saying the following. The flotilla didn't get through, but by a small miracle, the distraction of the boats of the IOF, so the Israeli occupation forces, it gave the Palestinians enough time to fish. Yes, that is correct. Palestinians are not allowed to fish in their own waters without being shot. So this is a small victory. So according to what a lot of these posts are saying, because of, the IDF being basically stuck trying to deal with this big flotilla coming in, trying to deliver aid, they diverted a lot of manpower and resources to take care of that. And it opened up a window where some people were able to actually fish and get food in Gaza, which is, it's a small victory, right? You got all these people malnourished, all these people starving to death, all these people getting shot and murdered on a daily basis and bombed, these tents being bombed in hospitals and schools. It's just an absolute horror show. But because of the brave actions of this flotilla, doing the right thing for the sake of humanity, here you have this little window that was opened up where they were able to catch some fish. So that truly is an absolutely incredible story. Now, also, Colombia is expelling Israeli diplomats over the interception of the flotilla. And the guys, I have to say, every single country should be doing this. What will it take for the rest of the world to say, we're going to embargo Israel, we're going to sanction Israel, we're going to cut them off completely economically, because they cannot continue if the world tells them we're done with you. They cannot continue. And so it's on you, the world, it's on you. I mean, obviously the U.S. should cut off the money and cut off the weapons and arrest the Israeli military officials and political officials. Netanyahu should be locked under the jail. That's all obvious. But we're fucking part of the problem, right? We are the war criminals also. So the rest of the world needs to step up. And you are beginning to see the doors opening more and more on certain things where, Netanyahu, when he came to New York, he wasn't able to fly through certain countries because they said you're not fucking allowed to. You're not welcome here type shit. He's been banned from certain countries. So, we're getting there, but it's so fucking slow. You got to hurry up. You got to hurry up. You got to hurry up. And so shout out to Colombia for that. Of course, it's Gustavo Petro, who's a fucking G. This is the guy who was at the UN, and he was saying, look, the UN needs to militarily intervene to stop Israel. That's what needs to happen. He was saying, you guys should resist Trump, and you guys should do a revolution. This guy's out of fucking control. So that guy's based as hell. But other countries need to catch up as well. We also have this new poll that just came out. This is really interesting. This was in Semaphore, and Dave Weigel tweeted it. So, Democratic voters favor candidates who will vote to cut military funding for Israel. Listen to the margin here. 71% of Democratic voters say they'd favor a 2028 presidential candidate who voted to withhold weapons from Israel. 71%. Ladies and gentlemen, Israel is what we like to call cooked with the Democratic base. young people, the Democratic base, they are done with Israel. So, we joke around, but at the same time, it's true. The first Democratic candidate to go on the debate stage in 2028 and say, Israel can suck my dick, is going to surge into the lead by double digits. That's what's going to happen. And so this is what's happening. And it's only going to move more and more in this direction. That's a super important point as well. So we also have this. I don't know how many of you guys are going to be surprised to hear this at this moment, but another one of the J6ers. As you all know, Trump pardoned all of them, shocking even people in his own regime who were like, Jesus Christ, I thought we'd be a little more specific and not let out the actually violent ones. No, he pardoned every single one of them. And since he's done that, there's been some of these people who've murdered people. There's been some of these people who've diddled kids. There's been people who commit all sorts of crimes because these people are the fucking dregs of the earth, right? Well, guess what? Yet another person who was pardoned by Trump for his January 6th crimes got caught diddling kids. I'm noticing a little bit of a trend. How about you guys? I'm noticing a little bit of a trend. Jesus Christ. All right. Now, speaking of diddling kids, there's this former Texas megachurch pastor named Robert Morris. And we talked about him recently because this guy, big-time MAGA guy, and he was arrested for sexually abusing a 12-year-old girl in the 1980s. 12-year-old girl. So last time we talked about it, he was arrested for that, right? Well, guess what? He was officially just convicted, and he's going to spend 6 months in prison. So a big-time MAGA pastor, former Texas megachurch pastor, he's been in elite Republican circles forever. There's pictures of him with every top Republican politician you can fucking name. And now he's being locked up for 6 months because he diddled a 12-year-old girl. By the way, let's be clear. This is what he got caught doing. But you and I both know damn well, if you do it once, this is a thing, isn't it? And so he probably did way more than this with way more victims, but he's going down over one victim. So that 6 months probably should be longer, but at least they were able to get him on something, right? But imagine for a second, and Mehdi Hassan points this out on Twitter, and I think he's correct, but imagine for a second if the roles were reversed and if this was Biden's spiritual advisor, because that's what this guy was. He was Trump's spiritual advisor. Imagine it was Biden's spiritual advisor. You would never hear the fucking end of it. Fox News would talk about it for 3 weeks straight. It'd be the #1 story in the country. But since it's not about Biden and the Democrats, and since it's about Trump, like I said, you won't even hear it anywhere else, right? You'll hear me talk about it. Mehdi Hassan tweeted about it. Ron Filipkowski tweeted about it of Midas Touch. Nobody's going to talk about it. I'm not even sure it's going to make it to MSNBC or CNN, and if it does, it'll probably be in and out, right? So it just goes to show you how lopsided the media environment is and how disgraceful it is. All right. So we also have this, guys. Central banks now officially own more gold than U.S. Treasuries. Let me repeat that. Central banks own more gold than U.S. Treasuries now. It's another I told you so moment because I warned you when Trump started acting a fool and waging a trade war against even our allies. I warned you guys, this is going to make the world decide we don't want the dollar as the world reserve currency anymore. We're going to move away from the dollar as the world reserve currency. And that is what this is evidence of. The world is moving on. They want to get off the dollar as the world reserve currency. The flight to safety is now to gold as opposed to the US dollar. So we're going to have a massive downturn. Usually when there's a massive downturn, the dollar gets stronger because that's the flight to safety. Not anymore. So now a massive downturn with a weaker dollar, stagflation is going to happen. And the rest of the world is going, let's fucking get rid of these Americans because they're a huge problem, bro. We don't want to work with them anymore. Let's work with each other where people are good to their word. They don't fucking stab you in the back on a whim. And so that's where we are now, man. That's where we are now. And I've been warning you about it for a while, but all the signs are really starting to show and things are starting to come together. All right. Let me talk a little bit about Theo Von. So Theo Von, he did this stand-up special, this Netflix special the other day, or at least they taped for it. And apparently he fucking massively bombed. Apparently it was really bad. And people were questioning, like, hey, is he back on drugs? He had to ask backstage somebody who works with him for, like, hey, what's the punchline to this joke again, bro? And so just completely and utterly unprepared, totally bombed, knows he bombed too. And so that happened the other day, and people are speculating he's really not doing well. And then also you had, of course, the thing where the Trump regime used the video of him. He was talking to somebody and he said, hey, man, heard you got deported. Bye. And they were using that for like an epic fucking troll video about how much they love shipping innocent people out of the country and ruining their lives. And so Theo Von had responded to that and say, hey man, like keep me out of this shit, right? Like just keep me out of it, right? And so, look, it really is a fuck around, find out moment because, yeah, you backed Trump. You were at the fucking inauguration. You had J.D. Vance on your podcast and Trump on your podcast, and you give them a fucking hand job. So, like, sorry, bro, this is your bet. Now you're going to fucking sleep in it. And so now he wants to back out because he sees, oh, Trump has a 37% approval rating. Everybody fucking hates him. Everybody knows this is a criminal regime. Oops, I fucked up. So now all of a sudden it's, hey, keep me out of that, bro. I want nothing to do with that, even though I just wanted a lot to do with it back when it was popular fucking, 6 months ago or whatever. Well, he had to explain himself on his podcast. So he comes out and here's what he says, quote, my father immigrated here from Nicaragua. One of my prized possessions is his immigration papers from when he came here. I have them in a frame. This was just fucked up. It was fucked up. And then he also goes on to talk about how, like, hey, man, I don't feel safe now because you posted that. And I don't even know exactly what that means. Does he think, like, some lefty is going to go attack him now? Because that's not going to fucking happen. No. They're like, the only violence that's going to happen is the continued violence against immigrants from this fucking rogue regime that you supported, right? That's what's going to happen. You're safe, bro. But anyway, so he didn't like that. And then we get this, in Rolling Stone, they report that Theo Von responded to criticism over his filmed comedy special, sharing how weaning himself off of antidepressants, Charlie Kirk's murder, and the controversial DHS video led to his choppy performance. So that, he says, that's his explanation. That's what's really going on. He said, I was on antidepressants. I'm weaning off of antidepressants. The Charlie Kirk murder really got to me, and I hated that I was used, basically as like a promotion for deportation, right? And so that's his explanation as to why he bombed so hard. So, that adds up to me. I think if you're withdrawing from antidepressants, that's gotta fucking suck, right? So you're probably going to be an emotional mess at that moment anyway. And so to have all those other things add up on top of it, I actually buy his explanation here. It's possible he's back on the sauce in one way or another, but this explanation I think makes perfect sense. But again, what I would say to Theo is, bro, if you really you really just have to come out and say, I fucked up, I got it wrong, I shouldn't have supported Trump, I shouldn't have supported J.D. Vance, this is a fascist regime. Because at the same time, this is the same guy who would talk about, hey, we gotta, help out Palestinians, and Israel's going too far, but then, he's at dinner with Jared Kushner the next fucking day. The guy who took $2 billion from Saudi Arabia, the guy who's, on the side of Netanyahu and the mass extermination of Palestinians, and, the son-in-law of the fucking guy who's arming and funding the genocide. So, it's two-faced bullshit. So, if you really want to gain people's respect back, you really just have to come out and say, hey, my bad, man, I apologize. I got caught up in that bullshit. I was wrong. They're fascists. And so now I'm going to dedicate myself to calling them out all the time. And I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's going to... We've seen this with a lot of these guys, Tim Dillon, Rogan. When they have their moments of clarity where they realize how badly they fucked up by snuggling up to Trump, what they do is they retreat to enlightened centrism. They go from being hardcore MAGA at the inauguration, total fucking with their pom-poms, rah-rah Republicans, right? And then when they realize how bad it is in a moment of lucidity, they go, who, me, bro? Nah, I've always been, neutral. I've always been in the middle. I've always been, above the fray, bro. I'm I see some good points on both sides, bro. And so they retreat to the enlightened centrism. And to me, that's just, it's not enough. Go fuck yourself. You should come out and apologize and say, I fucked up, and I shouldn't have aided and abetted the fucking fascist regime to take over. I shouldn't have done that. That's what you need to do. All right, more. So the USA has decided to block Iran from the 2026 FIFA World Cup draw. They denied visas to Iran's national football delegation, stopping them from attending the 2026 World Cup draw. This includes the federation president, the head coach, and 7 senior staff. So this is crazy, especially because FIFA had given Iran guarantees that, the World Cup is going to be in the U.S. I believe it's in Los Angeles, right? In 2026. But don't worry, you're going to be able to play. Iran is going to be able to play. And so Trump steps in and goes, wrong. No, you're not. We're not allowing it. And so now, so hold on. Let me get this straight. You're going to allow Israel to play, literally currently doing a live stream genocide. They are the modern day Nazi regime. That's what they are. They've killed hundreds of thousands of innocent people. They've bombed hospitals and schools on purpose. Tents, right? With humanitarian safe zones is what they've bombed. So Israel's allowed to play, but Iran is not. No, it's just a fucking joke. It's just a joke. So look, what I would say in reaction to this is, I know it's hard logistically, but FIFA, it's in 2026. That's when the World Cup is. You need to pull out of the U.S. Now understand something. FIFA is wildly corrupt, and Trump is basically like a mafia leader. So I'm sure that it would actually be a big deal for them to pull out, because I'm sure there was some backroom dealing to even get the World Cup here in the first place, right? Some payoffs here and there and whatnot, because it's all massively corrupt. But the right thing to do would be to pull out of the United States of America, because this is fucking disgusting. This is fucking disgusting. By any objective standard, Israel are way bigger criminals and a way bigger problem than Iran. But you're going to fucking allow Israel and ban Iran. Just, it's so disgusting. So disgusting. So it shouldn't be in the U.S. I'm sorry. And also, by the way, you really want ICE Gestapo thugs running wild during the World Cup? How many people are going to come, through a U.S. airport and then get fucking detained for 2 weeks because they want to come here and watch the World Cup? But since we have, rogue psychopaths who try to ruin people's lives on a whim, like that's what'll happen too. Is like, we've seen so many horror stories with ICE. Why would you want to put anybody through that? And it's going to happen with a bunch of people if we have the World Cup here. So this regime needs to be civilized, and it's not going to be fucking civilized. So punish them. Say, all right, we're just not having the World Cup there anymore because I gave them Iran assurances that they would be allowed to play, and you fucked that up, Trump. So okay, we're going to leave. We're going to get out of here. All right, so it's just so gross. All this stuff is so gross. All right, more. So Barry Weiss, who, as you all know, runs the Free Press. She gets about 7,000 views per video on average, which means she's like just infinitely tinier than what this channel is right here that you guys are watching. Well, as you all know, she was in negotiations with Paramount, which is the parent company to CBS. And get this. So she is going to be paid $150 million for them to, get the Free Press. They're acquiring the Free Press. Okay, that's her outlet. But in an unusual arrangement, Barry Weiss is going to report directly to the Paramount CEO, David Ellison, and she's going to be named editor-in-chief of CBS. So she's not going to answer to the CBS News president, and she's not going to answer to the head of TV at Paramount. She's going to answer to the person who's now going to own CBS, the Paramount CEO, David Ellison. So right to the billionaire. So understand what's happening here. Barry Weiss was paid $150 million. And this is basically like, hey, we think you're sufficiently pro-Israel enough. We think you're pro-right-wing enough. So we're going to pay you $150 million for your shitty outlet, which is not worth dick. I mean, that thing, it's not even worth like $2 million. Never mind $150 million. I'm not even kidding. We're going to give you all this money. And basically what this is now we have a minister of truth at CBS. And so now 60 Minutes is going to be cooked. You're never going to get another objective story about Israel-Palestine again. It's going to be rampantly pro-Israel and disgusting towards the Palestinians. You're going to get, at best, they'll do both sides bullshit, but in reality, they'll probably do just more pro-Republican, pro-Trump bullshit. And so that's what's happening here. We're witnessing a hostile takeover of the media. And the whole purpose from David Ellison and from Barry Weiss is, hey, we need to cater to the right and also go full fucking Zionist protection mode and make sure that the truth does not get out when it comes to the genocide in Gaza. And that's what we're seeing now. By the way, TikTok was taken over by Ellison, and they're already doing a pro-Palestine purge. And so the way the media is structured in the U.S., it's either going to be in the hands of a pro-Trump, pro-Israel billionaire, or it's going to be somebody, an outlet that gets fucking sued to the high heavens by Trump, where he tries to shake them down for millions of dollars on a regular basis and send them warning signs of like, hey, lay off of me and lay off of fucking Israel or we'll destroy you. We'll keep waging these fucking bullshit slap lawsuits against you. So just a horrible state of affairs for the media right now. So let's talk about Carolyn Levitt. So she was doing a press conference the other day, and a reporter asked her the following. This is crazy. Ready? Should ERs check immigration status before treating a dying patient? So this is total bait. This is like a softball down the center of the plate, but the person who asked it knew, like, oh, this dumb fascist bitch is not even going to be able to answer this. Watch. Her response is, that's probably not a question for me to answer. That's a question for healthcare professionals and legal experts to answer. Bro. So, in other words, she thought it would sound too liberal or too leftist to say, Yeah, I don't know. Immigrants probably shouldn't bleed out in the middle of the street. You know, if an immigrant gets their fucking, like, leg cut off in a car accident, yeah, maybe they should just bleed out in the fucking waiting room and nobody should help them ever. She thought, hey, maybe that's too far left. And the bloodthirsty, psychopathic fascists that I work for, they wouldn't like hearing me say that. This is insane, bro. We have lost our humanity in this country. This is so crazy. This is so crazy. Like, this used to be a no-brainer. Literally 100% in a poll on a question like this would say, of course, when you get sick, you get help. That's the end of the conversation. Duh. And how you fund it is a separate conversation. But obviously, if you need help, like you're in a medical emergency, it doesn't matter what your background is. Like, of course, you're going to get the fucking help you need. These people want to live in a world where it's like, oh, no, you have brown skin, so we're not going to help you at all. Okay, well, I'm dying here. Too bad. I can't with these people, bro. I can't. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Saudi Arabia fiasco with the comedians. So Dave Chappelle was one of the big-name comedians doing his set in Saudi Arabia for the Riyadh Comedy Festival, and he's definitely on the top end of how much these people were paid. He had to be, I think he got the full $1.6 million. According to Tim Dillon, the most any of them got paid was $1.6 million. I think Chappelle probably got $1.6 million. I think Bill Burr probably got $1.6 million, but certainly over $1 million. And these guys, I mean, just call it what it is. They're complete and utter sellouts. It's totally pathetic. And what's funny is Chappelle had this reputation as not a sellout because he turned down, I think it was $50 million from Comedy Central in his prime because he felt uncomfortable with the show and how he was doing it. He felt like he was feeding into racism as opposed to, like, you know, poking fun at it. And so he was uncomfortable with it, and he was like, all right, I'm out. Like, I'm not doing this. And so he turned down $50 million at the time. Well, now he's making up for it and selling out even harder and in an even worse way. So Dave Chappelle was doing his set in Saudi Arabia, and here's one of the things he said, quote, "It's easier to talk here," meaning Saudi Arabia, "than it is in America." Bruh. I mean, they're such a joke. We talked about on the show the other day, Bill Burr basically doing his, like, let me tell you guys how my trip went, bro. It was kind of crazy, bro. Like, I thought it'd be tough to do my comedy there, but it turns out they're just like us, bro. So he tried to make it seem like, oh, I was doing the liberal, lefty, open-minded thing by doing the show. And it's like, no, you fuckhead, you're taking over $1 million from a psychopathic, bloodthirsty, theocratic, fascist regime that just bone-sawed a journalist recently. By the way, I think it was like on his anniversary that they held the comedy festival too, which is fucking crazy. They fucking did 9/11. They did a genocide in Yemen. Don't try to fucking, no, actually, I'm the lefty by doing the show. Like, fuck you. So he did this whole thing. It was fucking gross. This is Chappelle, you know, also shoving his foot directly in his mouth. And it's just crazy because guess what? Saudi law makes it illegal to, quote, challenge either directly or indirectly the religion or justice of the king or crown prince. It's also illegal, quote, any attempt to cast doubt on the fundamentals of Islam. And so there was one comedian who released, like, the contract, and in screenshots of the contract, we learned that apparently all the comedians were barred from saying anything derogatory about Saudi Arabia or the royal family or even joking about religion. And so when Chappelle says, oh, it's easier to talk here than it is in America, it's like, bro, you are so fucking boomer brain rotted, it's ridiculous. You are fucking washed, homie. Washed, bro. Literally all the comedians who went there, I have zero respect for any of them anymore. David Cross didn't go, and he ripped all these comedians. He goes way up in my estimation. Mark Maron, same thing, he goes way up. Shane Gillis, who normally, he's part of the Rogan sphere. I wouldn't even normally be a fan of anybody who's part of the Rogan sphere. But Shane Gillis stood on principle, so he goes up in my estimation. All these fucking sellouts are absurd. They're the worst of the worst. I hate them so much. All right, now, a new YouGov poll just came out, and it looks like Americans are finally starting to get it on one of the most obvious questions of our time. 40% in the poll say that Republicans are a bigger threat to free speech, and only 20% say Democrats are. So, didn't take long for people to wake up, because remember, the right used to cloak themselves in free speech and pretend like they're the big free speech bros, and the left is against it. Well, turns out when we look at your rogue fascist president doing what he's doing, it's very obvious that the right are way bigger threats to free speech, and by the way, always fucking have been. Let's just call it what it is. So, this is a really interesting story from NBC. The Department of Education, of course, they're being furloughed because of the government shutdown. And come to find out that they're now reporting to the media that the messages that are running on their phones blame the Democrats for the shutdown. Quote, none of us consented to this, and it's written in the first person as if I'm the one conveying this message, and I'm not. I don't agree with it. I don't think it's ethical or legal. I think it violates the Hatch Act. So in other words, the Trump regime is committing a crime by lying and making it so all the phones for the federal government, for the workers who are furloughed, the answering machines say, because of this Democrat shutdown, we're shut down. Well, again, it's a total fucking lie. Like they say, it's fucking illegal. And the people who work there are onto this, and they're going to the media going, what the fuck? Guys, they never, ever played fair. They never gave a shit about the truth. They're just liars through and through. That's what they are. All right. I got to talk about this feud between Charlemagne the God and Hakeem Jeffries. So Charlemagne the God, on his show, The Breakfast Club, about a week or so ago, or maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, he referred to Hakeem Jeffries as, he says, I call him AIPAC Shakur. Obviously a play on Tupac Shakur, right? And that's a bar. And that, like, sort of blew up on social media. I saw it a bunch of places. And look, he's right. Like, he takes a tremendous amount of money from AIPAC. Hakeem Jeffries does. I mean, that's been known about him for the longest time. He won't even endorse Zoran Mamdani, and the reason why is because he's bought by the Israel lobby, and Zoran keeps it real and is against the genocide, and calls out Netanyahu, and fucking says all the right things on that issue, and that's unacceptable to Hakeem Jeffries. Okay. So, Hakeem Jeffries' response to that, ready? And this is what this guy is spending his time thinking about and saying. Like, think about all the things going on in this country. The fucking illegal war being waged on Venezuela. We have concentration camps that are, opened up now across this country. We have the horror show of ICE murdering people and fucking lying about it. We have the trade war. The economy's going off a cliff. We have all these horrible, the Epstein files. We got all these fucking horrible things, right? Instead, Hakeem Jeffries is now taking time to feud with Charlemagne the God. And his reaction is to say, he calls him Charlatan the Fraud. So Jeffries in a statement said, quote, Charlatan the Fraud had no idea what he's talking about, as music industry luminaries like Birdman, Beanie Siegel, Fredo Starr, and NBA Youngboy have repeatedly made clear. Oh my God. So for those of you who don't know, Hakeem Jeffries so desperately wants to be viewed as cool, and Hakeem Jeffries also is obsessed with hip-hop culture, and so he wants to be like a cool kid in with the cool kids in the realm of hip-hop culture. And this is somebody who's a big name in hip-hop culture, right? Charlemagne the God. I mean, Breakfast Club is, like, huge, right? And basically saying, like, you're not cool. Like, you're not down. You're not with us. And so he fights back by calling him Charlatan the Fraud and then saying, like, oh, Birdman doesn't like you, so how about that? Really? That's your Birdman? Do you have any ideas? The allegations against Birdman? Go look into the history of him and what he did with Lil Wayne and what he does with these young boys that he brings in. Hold on one second. Phoebe wants to come out, and I'm going to let her out. Hold up. Yeah, so I watched the documentary. I think it was called Surviving Birdman. It may have been something else. I watched. It's on YouTube. I watched the documentary on YouTube. And long story short, there's a lot of really bad allegations against Birdman. And so to cite him as like, oh yeah, well Birdman doesn't like you. It's like, shit, that's a fucking badge of honor, bro. For Charlemagne, this is so crazy. All right. So some more horrific economic news. Guys, I can't recommend highly enough. Go look at the segment we did on the economy in the last show that we did. And then go watch the one that was titled something like, The Economy is Flashing Bright Red. Because I lay out all the evidence that we're really on the brink of something very, very ugly. And, there's more evidence of that coming in now. So More Perfect Union says that U.S. employers have already cut nearly 1 million jobs this year, the largest number of layoffs since 2020. So the last time the economy was this bad was a global pandemic. And we all remember how bad that was because basically everybody was fucking fired. like the economy just ground to a total fucking halt. So that's not good. We also learned that GM is placing 900 workers on indefinite layoff at the Kansas plant. That's also a very, very bad sign. Now, at the same time, all this is going on and Americans are struggling here. Remember, Trump just greenlit a $20 billion subsidy, bailout, going to Argentina. Now, I was told by the right-wingers, hey, Javier Milei, he's an anarcho-capitalist, he's a libertarian, he's going to cut government to the bone, the free market's going to take off, it's going to be like a fucking utopia in Argentina, they're going to do so well. As Elon said, prosperity ahead for Argentina. And oh, would you look at that? They immediately went belly up, fucking poverty skyrocketed, inflation skyrocketed, unemployment skyrocketed, he got the government to the fucking bone, it led to more problems, more extreme poverty, right? And now he's already got an IMF bailout, and now he needs a U.S. bailout too. That's where we are right now. Well, guess what? We just learned a little tea from behind the scenes as to what led to Bessent going so hard for this bailout and what led to Trump going for it. Ready? This is from Judd Legum from Popular Information. Everybody go subscribe to his newsletter because he's got a lot of great stuff. Billionaire Robert Citron, whose hedge fund bet heavily on Argentina, pressed Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, his longtime friend and former colleague, to rescue the country, according to Argentine media. Shortly thereafter, Bessent announced a $20 billion taxpayer-funded bailout. So, in other words, one billionaire robber baron cretin asshole bet the farm on Javier Milei is going to take over and the Argentine economy is going to fucking explode and be great. It's going to the moon, baby. Like, it's going to take off like you've never seen before. And then the exact opposite happened because, of course, this anarcho-capitalist libertarian garbage is trash. It ruins every society it touches. The opposite happened. And so now this guy's like, oh, shit, I'm going to lose everything. I'm a billionaire. I'm going to lose everything. So he goes begging to Scott Bessent, bro, you need to bail out Argentina because I got to make good on all these investments I made. I'm losing everything here. And Scott Bessent immediately tweets, we're going to bail out Argentina $20 billion. And Trump goes, yeah, we're going to bail out Argentina $20 billion. Literally, one billionaire robber baron cretin prick made this the case. I'm sorry, man. They need to be locked up. They need to be locked the fuck up. These are criminals. This happened in 2008 too, right? The economy crashed. And guess what? The wealthy got bailed out. And then the wealthy were given taxpayer-funded bonuses even though they crashed their companies and led to the economic downturn. So they never lose. Privatize the profits, socialize the losses. And that's what's happening here. So he's a billionaire. He makes a bad bet. Instead of going belly up like what you should do, what any normal working person, if they make a bad bet, they're cooked, right? This guy fails up. Oh, I fucked up and I made a bad bet, but it's okay. Now the taxpayers are going to bail me out. It's unbelievable, man. Oh my God, it's so fucking pathetic. Jesus Christ. Oh. All right. So here's another sign of how bad the times are. Searches for second job have reached an all-time high, surpassing the 2008 financial crisis and COVID pandemic levels. So searching for second job is now way higher than both 2008 crash and the COVID pandemic. That doesn't seem good. That doesn't seem good. All right, more. The White House apparently has asked 9 top universities to pledge support for President Trump's agenda to help ensure access to research funding. So now he's making the federal government funding that should be off the table. I mean, this is the whole idea of the Impoundment Control Act is like the president can't unilaterally override. He just can't do it. If the money's allocated by Congress, it's got to go there. Trump steps in and goes, no, I disagree. I'm just going to withhold the money I want to withhold. And so now Trump's out there saying, in order for you to get the money that you're owed for research funding, you need to pledge support for my agenda. And this is why, like, he's cutting off money to all the blue states. He's cutting off money to these universities. And he's arm twisting. He's arm twisting. And this is what a fascist does. This is what an authoritarian does. And it's all out there in the open. Again, that's the New York Times reporting on that. TikTok is now censoring posts that mention the influence of AIPAC with the new owner, Ellison. And so think about it. I knew they were going to try to stretch and say, oh, criticism of Israel is anti-Semitic. But now, even just talking about the influence of AIPAC, hey, AIPAC, the Israel lobby, pays a lot of money to our politicians, and the politicians seem to do a lot of what AIPAC wants. You're not allowed to say that anymore. That's banned. So this is just horrible. It's just horrible. Google, this is an amazing report from The Verge. Google is blocking AI searches for Trump and dementia. Coming to another platform near you, right? I mean, how long until the videos I've done on Trump and dementia and senility and his cognitive failures, right? The 25th Amendment. How long until all those videos I posted, they just pull them down? Never mind, basically shadow ban them. Never mind make it impossible to search, right? How long until they just pull these shits down? I mean, I don't put anything past these people, anything at all. Candace Owens is now apparently calling out Trump and accusing him of selling TikTok to, quote, his Zionist friends. She argues that Trump's claims about protecting Americans from China's control over TikTok data were nothing more than theater and a mirage. Quote, Donald Trump has sold us out to Israel once again, Candace Owens declared. So trouble in paradise there. Governor J.B. Pritzker came out and said that Trump has dementia. In no uncertain terms, he said Trump has dementia and he should be removed from office using the 25th Amendment. So J.B. Pritzker is taking the gloves off. I liked this moment here. This was during the White House press briefing. One of the questions from the reporter was, how did the White House decide it was appropriate for Jared Kushner to be working on matters that involve Qatar, the UAE, and Saudi Arabia? 3 countries combined that have given him more than $2.5 billion. And Levitt's response was, frankly, I think it's despicable that you're trying to suggest that it's inappropriate. Imagine for a second it was Hunter Biden who was given a project by Joe Biden, and the project was, you negotiate with Qatar, the UAE, and Saudi Arabia. You work on Middle East policy. And then a Fox News reporter goes, hold on, Hunter's taken $2.5 billion from those countries. He's not going to be objective at all. He's going to fucking do the bidding of those countries and maybe hose American taxpayers or hose other countries to serve them because they fucking paid him. They're his masters, right? If the roles were reversed, we'd never hear the fucking end of it. They still whine and yelp and bitch and moan about Hunter Biden taking like a couple $100,000 from that Ukrainian gas company, right? $2.5 billion from Jared Kushner. And she's like, it's despicable you bring that up. How dare you? Unbelievable, y'all. Unbelievable. All right, and then finally, we'll end on this one. The Washington Post has an important scoop here. The Pentagon is making plans to impose strict non-disclosure agreements and random polygraph tests for scores of people, including many top officials, according to 2 people familiar with the proposal and documents obtained by the Washington Post. So Pete Hegseth is fucking crashing out. He's in a manic state. He's withdrawing from alcohol. This is all like the Daily Beast sort of had an article on this the other day. And he's desperately trying to stop any and all leaks coming out of the Pentagon because people keep telling the media, hey, here's this stupid thing he's doing. Here's this dumbass thing he's doing. Here's how he's ruining this thing and that thing. And so Hegseth is like losing his mind going, stop criticizing me. Stop criticizing me. Stop criticizing Trump too. How dare you? How dare you? And so now we've reached the point where he wants to do fucking polygraph tests and non-disclosure agreements for people at the Pentagon. Wow. Now, remember, this is immediately after he just pissed off like every general, every admiral, every top military official in the country. He pissed off all of them with what that sick display was where they gave the speech and they fucking kept repeating over and over that we need to invade America more. And he kept saying, you need to work out and don't be fucking fat and women suck and whatever the fuck else he was saying. So that's where we are, man. That's where we are. Everything is fucking falling apart. It's happening at a rapid pace. I wish I had some good news here for you, but unfortunately I don't. Everything sucks, but I'm here to document the downfall for you. And I hope you get some sort of enjoyment out of that, even though it's horrible times. But I love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. And I hope you have a great rest of your day to the extent that you can.